What is up, everybody? It's your boy Stone Mando. Welcome back to the channel of Stone Mandalorian. Today we're taking a look at a Jurassic World Rebirth figure, the Blast and Bite Mosasaurus. This is my first marine dinosaur. Technically this isn't a dinosaur, but I'll get to that later. But this is my first marine species dinosaur that I have in my collection, so I am just super stoked. We have a couple different action features that we're going to go over with this thing. Some really awesome paints, cool sculpting on this thing. Give you a quick look at the box for people that care about that. Here's some legalese and the barcode and all that stuff. Got a nice little Jurassic World Rebirth logo right there. We have the back of the figure. It shows you the features, what it does, what it comes with, other legalese and legal information and such. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the packaging. And I'm super excited, man. I like the little water feature they have going on here, the picture of the Mosasaurus. And this is just, I am super excited, man. Got this thing from Target for 40 bucks. My wife actually bought this for me where we were running errands yesterday. Today is actually the 5th, June 5th. So I'm super excited to have this thing, man. He looks phenomenal. I also watched my buddy Connor Calarusso's review, so be sure to go check out his channel as well. And I'll probably post something right here. He has a great review of a lot of the Jurassic World Rebirth toys that are starting to hit shelves here in the States. Because these figures are starting to hit the States, they're just loaded down. Walmarts and Targets are loaded with Rebirth figures. I was there looking in search of the Spinosaurus from Hammond Collection, but did not find that. However, I was super stoked to see the Mosasaurus there. I also seen the Colossal Mosasaurus. That thing is freaking huge, man. It's so cool, but just due to shelf space and me already having a couple of dinos as it is, and somewhat limited on space, I just figured I'd pick up the Bite and Blast here. Very cool. I'm very excited to have it. So without further ado, let's get this thing open and we'll take a closer look at it. In case you start freaking out, the extra fin and the tail is down this little cupboard up underneath the bottom of the figure. So right underneath here. And first things first, man, getting it out of the box here. This thing is massive. Here's my hand for size reference, or if anything, Savaggio Press Black Series figure for some size reference. You can see right there. But man, this thing is absolutely massive, dude. I am so excited to have this freaking figure. The paint and the sculpt looks really good. I'll go ahead and start off by saying that. I'm really excited to have this. Y'all know me. If you've watched my dinosaur reviews, you know once I get a dinosaur, and if I don't happen to know a lot of, obviously I'm no expert. I don't know every single dinosaur that they come out with, and that's one of the fun parts about learning about new dinosaurs is the research that goes into it. So the Mosasaurus is not one of my favorite creatures, but it's definitely a important one, and it's a historic milestone for paleontology. There's no doubt about that. But I still enjoy looking up information and facts about these creatures that we've come to learn so much more about. But it also comes with a cool little rubber Dilophosaurus. Not much going on here, but it is a cool little addition that he can eat. It's very rubbery and soft. Not much to it at all, but it's still a cool addition to have. But then getting onto the Mosasaurus here, you can just see, and I'll come a little bit closer here. This thing is loaded down with beautiful paint, some awesome sculpting. We have greens, dark browns, grayish whites, blacks, browns, like really cool looking, man. Very fascinating looking creature. So this thing is so huge, man. I really don't even know how to freaking review this thing. It's so giant. So forgive me if my shirt's a little bit dirty. I got stuff in my beard. I did just get off work doing this review. I wanted to try to get it done before my wife got home and we did dinner and all that good stuff. But this thing is massive, dude. So I feel like this is going to be the best way to review it this way. And you can see all my other dinos behind me, so that's kind of cool. But you can see here, man, just a phenomenal looking creature. Crazy sculpt and paint on this thing. It's huge. And my buddy Connor, I was watching his review, and he was very spot on. Like, this almost reminds me of an upside down shark tail, the way that it looks. It's very interesting. You can see we have a lot of sculpting, a lot of paint, really nice gradients going from the off whites. Even got like a whale belly texture here on the bottom. There's where you scan and get it on the app or whatever. I don't mess with all that. But just starting off, one of the cool things about this is you see this button right here. It's an action feature, and so what he can do is he can chomp. And then if you see this little platform in there, all the way at the back of his throat, you can see how it's kind of coming back and forth. What that does, he swallows that Dilophosaurus up, right? Get it back up in there and watch. Oh, there he goes. That's cool. Must be a bad tasting Dilophosaurus if he's spitting it out. I wonder if that's going to be in the movie. I wonder if like a Dilophosaurus gets eaten by the Mosasaurus, or if they're just doing this for fun, you know. But the Dilophosaurus is definitely a cool inclusion. Very, very cool. This is Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, so like they actually did not have these frills around their neck or spit venom, just FYI. I've talked about Dilophosaurus before. So there's one of the features. We have the chomp feature, and he spits out the Dilophosaurus. Another thing we have is if you grab the back of his tail and you go like that, he kind of like wades through the water and swims, which is really cool. This would be, for a kid, man, you have this thing in the pool, this is just like next level. So you turn the tail and then you can chomp it as well. So very, very cool. This thing is just interesting to look at, man. What a fascinating creature. And getting onto the teeth here, they are continuing with these individually rubber sculpted teeth. They have a very nice like rubberiness to them, but what that also does is it gives it a way sharper look. And something else that I thought was interesting was when I was watching my buddy Connor's review on this. He's very knowledgeable about many species of dinosaurs. I'm very selective on the ones that I'm knowledgeable about. My buddy Connor is just an encyclopedia, man. But he was explaining how, and this is cool, you can see these second pair of teeth right here. So very similar to some snakes that have second jaws. They actually did have a second row of teeth to help pull back, struggle, and prey. So I think that's pretty cool that they included that and had that in there. And it's also sculpted, same rubber, off-white, off-yellowish, off-white yellow color. You see there's a very nice gloss on the tongue and such. Even the gums are very nicely sculpted and detailed. You see that gloss in there? It's very, very nice. The eyes are very cool. It's got even like a nice gloss paint on the pupil there. Just an orange eye with a black pupil. And like all these bumps on his skin. It's like a little, not craters, but I forget, like barnacles or something, you know? And like this wrinkliness. This is like a really whale looking belly. But this nice like off-white goes all the way through the belly. And I like how the gradients go, because sometimes with these mainline Mattel figures, the paint will stop where the section of the articulation starts. But with these, they ran the gradients of the paint all the way through, man. It looks very, very nice on the bottom here. Even the fins have some really nice sculpting and skin, like a little barnacle-y look. Raised indentions and such. Really nice wrinkles and sculpt. Look at the back there. There's the tail again. And this thing snapped together super easily. It did not take any force at all. We have some really nice blacks, and it turns into some browns going down the rest of the body. Very good looking figure, very interesting. But the little action features where you move the tail, that's pretty cool. You know, like he's swimming through the water. I like the chomp feature, though. That's really cool. I like this, man. Like I said, this is my first Marine. Because technically, these guys aren't even dinosaurs. They're actually considered a reptile. They're more closely related to snakes and like Komodo dragons and such. So actually more of a reptile than an actual dinosaur. So, and even the name Mosasaurus, it stands for, I believe it's like Latin or Greek for Muse lizard. It's like MEU. It's named after the river that the fossil was first found in, like sometime in the 1700s. And I'll go back through, and when I have this thing on the turntable, I'll run off a couple of facts that I learned or whatever. But because I was not very knowledgeable about this animal before I got it, but then just whenever I get something I don't know a lot about it, that's when I do my research, and that's where I have the fun. So it's nice to buy something that you know what it is and you're knowledgeable about it, but it's always fun just for like, sometimes you just got to follow the rule of cool, man. And this thing just looked cool. It was $40, and I had to snag it, man. It looks so freaking badass. I love this thing, dude. And like I said, this is my first marine dinosaur. Like I said, it's not technically a dinosaur, but my first marine species from the Cretaceous period. So this is really interesting. And something else that I learned from Connor is these guys, supposedly, like I said, they're not dinosaurs technically. They are reptiles. And if you didn't know, dinosaurs are not reptiles. Reptiles are not dinosaurs. I know that's kind of confusing, but different genus and species and such. But these guys actually made it back onto land and then went back to the water sometime at the end of the late Cretaceous before that meteor, that comet hit. But this thing is absolutely spectacular looking. If you're a Jurassic World fan or even just a dinosaur fan, and obviously this isn't exactly what they looked like. This is an interpretation. Obviously this is movie monster Jurassic World stuff, but like pretty damn close of representation of what you're going to get for a Mosasaurus, unless you get like a PNSO or something like that, you know. But just looking at, you can see there is some hinges here for articulation, so the fins do move up and down, pretty decent motion. They do spin 360 degrees. It's actually like a little, I don't know if you can you hear that? I'm trying to put it up next to my microphone here. You can hear those ratchets turn. So what that's going to do is keep this in place and not have it slipping, and get that, it's going to keep that joint nice and tight. But you can see we got the hinges here on the shoulder, or on the fins I should say, so there's some decent range back and forth you can get that far up, that far down. Same thing with the back ones, get that far down and then that far up. Obviously 360 degree motion as well, which is pretty nice. The tail also, this is where the articulation for the tail goes on. Obviously you'll just match that up and it stays just like that, obviously. And then there's another section, another cut right here, another cut right here, and then so on. So really, really cool, man. Really cool sculpt, awesome paint. Very happy to have this thing. Okay, so now here we are. I wanted to give y'all a couple of facts that I was reading up on this guy, and I usually try to stick with .orgs and .govs and stuff like that, but there's this one website called fossilguy.com. It's a really, really cool website, and I dig it. I think it's really good information. But so as I was saying earlier, the name Mosasaur literally means a lizard of the Meuse River. That's M-E-U-S-E, I believe, and it is a river in Holland, which is where the Mosasaur was first discovered or described. Very, very interesting. And like I said earlier, they're actually not dinosaurs. They are reptiles and are more closely related to snakes and monitor lizards than other dinosaurs or other species and creatures. And I'm trying to just go back there. I probably should have written some of this stuff down. I know that Native Americans were also like, I read something about Native Americans drawing pictures of them in caves and stuff like that, and they actually thought that the fossils had special powers that belonged to like mythological beings of their own religion and stories like that. It was very, very interesting. Like I said, they also did live during the early and late Cretaceous. They were found anywhere from North, South America, all the way to Europe, Asia, and I think like even Australia, as far, which obviously in the water, it's pretty cool. And I feel like I remember also reading that there was a freshwater Mosasaur that was found as well. And there's even studies that some paleontologists believe that they were warm-blooded, which is also very, very interesting. Their diet consisted of pretty much anything. These guys and girls, were pretty much apex predators of the oceans during the Cretaceous. So they would eat anything from ammonites to bony fish, birds, sea turtle, whatever, man. They would eat whatever they wanted. They were not picky eaters at all. But as well, I mentioned it earlier, I learned from my buddy Connor's review, Connor Calaruso, be sure to check him out as well. They had jaws back inside of their mouth that could, their jaws could actually expand to help them swallow large prey, very similar to certain species of snakes. And they had that second set of teeth in their upper jaw, and that would basically just help pull struggling prey into their mouth, which is pretty fucking wild. And they also did breathe air, so they would come up to the surface similar to a sperm whale or any other mammal or porpoise, like a dolphin and such. They would come up to the air to breathe water, and then they could hold their breath for obviously a vast amount of time. And supposedly in like 2015, 2016, 17, something like that, sometime after like in the 20-teens, there was a study that found that Mosasaurs supposedly gave live birth in the ocean, so that's also very interesting, also very similar to whales and dolphins and such like that. And this is a little passage, an article that they have, a little passage paragraph that they have here on Fossil Guy, and I'm just going to read it off here. Mosasaurs are considered the great marine reptiles that ruled the seas during the Cretaceous period. Although they are often referred to as the T-Rex of the seas, they were not dinosaurs, but reptiles that returned to the sea during the Cretaceous period. Even though they are aquatic, these great beasts were still reptiles that breathed air. So that's very, very interesting. So it continues on to say, once Mosasaurs returned to the seas in the Cretaceous around 100 million years ago, they rapidly diversified. Numerous subfamilies, genera, and species quickly appeared on a near global level, even in Antarctica. Some developed teeth for crushing shells, and some even expanded into freshwater environments. Very, very cool. It says again in 2012, Laszlo Makadi, M-A-K-A-D-I, published a paper on the discovery of the freshwater mosasaur from Hungary that lived in rivers similar to the freshwater river dolphins today. It also goes on to say, although each genera has slightly different morphological features, they all share similar traits. Mosasaurs were all long and sleek. They have arms and legs that evolved into flippers, and their jaws contained numerous conical teeth. These teeth are not designed for cutting, but instead for grasping. The jaws are also double-hinged, meaning they greatly expand in order to swallow prey whole, like a snake. Also, like snake, fossil skin impressions show mosasaurs had scaly skin. That's pretty freaking rad, man. And just going off of that real quick, off of the fossil skin impressions, there's, I forget the scientific term, but they've actually, from these skin impressions, they get bits of actual, like, they can basically see what color and pigments that these scales or skin impressions were from these creatures, which is just absolutely next level wild how they can figure this shit out. But I'm going to keep on reading here. It also says mosasaurs are considered the great marine reptiles of the Cretaceous. However, there were many other marine reptiles that lived before the mosasaurs. So very, very interesting to name some other reptiles that we're not going to, or also dinosaurs that we're not going to name right now. And I'll also throw a couple pictures of some fossils and stuff like that. Mosasaur teeth were very similar to snakes, and light snakes, they had 2 rows of teeth in their upper jaw and a smaller set towards the rear and center of their mouths. Very, very interesting, man. Absolutely so cool. This is actually a cool picture that I'm looking at here. It's a Tylosaurus mosasaur skull cast in the Mace Brown Museum in Charleston, South Carolina. So it's actually not far from me at all. So maybe me and my wife, Mrs. Stone, will have to check that out. So it goes on to see, how about this? I'm reading on, I was just talking about coloration earlier. What color were mosasaurs, it says? New research shows that they were most likely a dark color similar to sperm whale coloration. Very interesting. It goes on to say, in the past, the color of prehistoric animals was strictly confined to the realm of the artist. Over the past few years, paleontologists have been able to, that's what it is, melanosomes. I think that's how you say it. And basically what, and I always say, I'll put a little, I'll show what the word is here. Melanosomes are basically like a type of tissue that they find, and they synthesize, and like they can basically see what pigments are in these tissue cells. And I don't know how exactly they do it, but it's a process that they have now, which is just absolutely freaking phenomenal. So melanosomes was the word I was looking for. It's M-E-L-A-N-O-S-O-M-E-S. So very, very interesting. But as I was reading here, paleontologists have been able to study melanosomes in fossil feathers and dinosaurs and birds to determine their colors and color patterns. Now, paleontologists have found fossilized melanosomes in skin impressions from ancient turtles and mosasaurs. That's super, super interesting. It goes on to say here, the research done by Johan Lindgren in 2014 shows these prehistoric aquatic reptiles at least were partially dark colored in life. The mosasaur contains so much of this pigment it would have been very dark in color. So that's very, very interesting as well, man. So I just wanted to read off a couple of these facts off of fossilguide.com. Y'all know me, like I said earlier in the review, I like to do research on these creatures and species that I don't know. I'm a huge animal guy. For those of you that are new here to my channel and aren't aware, I am absolutely infatuated with nature and obsessed with animals. So being able to go back and study some of these interesting creatures like this, not dinosaur here, but this reptile here, is always intriguing to me, man. And me and my wife we had chickens and ducks and other reptiles, turtles, lizards, geckos. We had all kind of stuff for quite a few years. So I just have a natural love for animals. But I found that all very interesting, super, super cool, and I hope y'all enjoyed that little rundown from Professor Stone here. And getting into a couple side-by-side comparisons here just to show y'all the sheer size of this Mosasaurus. Here on the right is the Hammond Collection Carnotaurus, one of my favorite, not only dinosaurs, but figures in general. And next up here for the side-by-side comparisons, this was actually my first Hammond Collection figure ever, the Therizinosaurus. I love this figure so very much, man. This figure right here kicked off an addiction I had no idea was coming. Standing in for the side-by-side comparisons now, we have the Dinotrekkers Triceratops, which was one of the most accurate size references for a Triceratops in the Mattel line. And then here we have also the Mattel main line Suchomimus. Now for side-by-side comparisons, here in the middle, you can see the Lost World Tiger Stripe Raptor. And then here on the far right here, we have the Velociraptor mongoliensis from Creative Beast Studios, aka Beast of the Mesozoic. And just because I'll look for any excuse to mess with these Nanamu Raptors, these figures right here, Jurassic Park 3 Raptors, we have the White Queen and the Blood Knight. I am absolutely infatuated and in love with these two Nanamu figures right here. I highly, highly recommend for any Jurassic Park fan or movie monster dinosaur fan. Love both of these figures. Just look at those teeth right there. Just look at fuck shit. So with that being said, y'all, I gotta say for 40 bucks, man, this is a lot of plastic here. Even though it is hollow, this is still a big figure, man. This is a really big guy. Just for, well, I have him. Never mind. I was going to do a size comparison with Rancor, but he's kind of tied up at the moment. But, yeah, man, this figure is just so cool, man. Highly recommend to any Jurassic World or dinosaur movie monster fan, man. This is such a cool sculpt. Really good paint, man. Just an absolute blast and fun figure. Like, imagine being a kid with this thing in the pool. Like, that's just, like, next level right there, dude. So you can see we have just one more time, I'll show off the features. We have the back and forth swimming motion where he goes back and forth. We also do have the chomp feature, which is really cool, man. Just to get a look at those teeth and those gums again. In my opinion, dude, this is totally worth 40 bucks just for the sheer fact of how cool and big it is. Now, granted, in like 2 or 3 months, they're probably going to have it on sale for like 30 or something like that, but I don't even care, dude. This thing is so cool to have, and I hope anybody that snags this or sees it on Target shelves gets it and has a lot of fun with it, man, because this is, I might have to take this to my mom's pool. So this is just so cool, man. I love this thing very much. And like I said earlier, I've already mentioned it numerous times in this review, this is my first marine not really dinosaur. We'll just call, I've already covered all that. I know I've already told you that this is technically a reptile, but this is my first marine dinosaur in my collection, man. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this review. Please smash that motherfucking like button if you did. I greatly appreciate it. Also consider checking out my channel membership. I'll have a couple different tiers that I offer. It just helps directly support my channel and what I do, my passion for action figures, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, etc., animals. But with that being said, I do want to shout out to all my current channel members, each and every one of you. I appreciate y'all very much, man. Y'all helping fuel my passion for doing this and bringing y'all these fun reviews and fun action figures, helping not only empty your wallet, but get something cool on your shelf as well. That's why I do this, man. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this review. And just to finish this thing off right here, give them a little snack. I will see you all next time. I'm going to take a little book from my little note from my book buddy Connor's. Oh, it didn't work. Hold on. Let's try that again. Okay, that'll work. But y'all, I hope you liked this review. If you did, hit that like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. Hope you're all having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. May the force be with you.